Hi everyone and welcome back to National League Lowdown with me, Dan. Sorry we've been missing the last couple of weeks or episodes. We've been changing our dynamic and the way we do things. So sorry we've missed you a couple of times and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we've got a full house, joined by Mark. How are you, mate? You okay?
Yes, aloha everybody. A bit of a nerve-wracking one doing it on a new platform for the podcast. Thank you very much, StreamYard. You've done us the biggest favour ever. My God, why? Why did you do this to us? It was perfectly fine. You didn't need to treble the money up by, 5 times, did you? We had it all sorted and you went and ruined it. Yeah, other than that, everything's fine.
Yeah,
We'll talk
good.
about Mac later.
Yeah, good to get it off your chest, Mark.
Oh,
Good to get it off your chest.
bloody
Louis, how are you,
people.
mate? You okay?
Yeah, all good. Apart from 90 minutes of football, which is usually the case on this podcast. But yeah, lots to talk about. Looking forward to it, and hopefully we can get through a whole one this time.
We'll see what happens. Craig, how are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, not too bad. Not the greatest result for me, but I think you got to laugh at yourself. And I, for one, am not looking forward to this pod.
Nice. Yeah, so we'll get straight into it. A lot to cover. First up, Rochdale 1, Boston 0. Got the job done. It's all they need to be doing at this point. Louis, what did you make of this one?
Yes, as you say, at this time of the season, it is just about getting those 3 points and getting yourself over the line, no matter how you do it. And Rochdale did just that, really. They completely dominated the game, had numerous chances in this game. Only 3 shots on target, though, so that was their issue, is that just they weren't testing the goalkeeper enough. Boston had a clear game plan of sitting back, sitting deep, and soaking up pressure. And it almost worked. It was almost a perfect away performance for them. As Rochdale do, they seem to find a way, and they did in the end as well. Two experienced players, Henderson with the cross in, and it was headed in the middle of the park, and they got the 3 points. But Boston did have that huge chance in the 84th minute from Kersons where he goes one-on-one. And I think it's the standard of the goalkeeping that Watmouth has to be able to be actually concentrated for that long, having not had much to do, to pull off what was a really important save when it was one-on-one. It's just outstanding from him. And I think Paul Hurst said it after the game as well. They had the clearest chance of the game. And he said if they'd have gone toe to toe with Rochdale, Rochdale would have just blown the floor with them. But no shame in that from Boston. They wouldn't have expected anything from that game, I wouldn't have thought. But for Rochdale's point of view, massive 3 points, and it was probably a hammer blow for York, considering where they were at that point, seeing the scoreline come through. Yeah, 14 unbeaten for Rochdale now. Considering that they've only played those games in 9 weeks, it's an incredible run that they've been on, to be able to have that relentless nature when it's basically been Saturday, Tuesday since the start of the year. And yeah, 7 days rest now for them, so they can rest up and look forward to next week. And I think they've got Eastleigh next week, so yeah, big game for them. But they'll be able to get resting those legs and fresh, ready for next week.
Yeah, definitely it'd be a strange feeling for them not to play midweek. I've seen a couple of the fans on social media celebrating the fact they didn't have a midweek game for a change. So it'll do them good, I think, having that break, like you say. Mark, what did you make of this one?
Another 3 points, another clean sheet, another goal to make that goal difference even better. Rochdale doing it the tidy way. Very tidy in what they're doing. Never underestimate their opponents, which is a good thing, really. But Boston have been on a hell of a run under Paul Hurst to keep Thomas Kersons quiet and Frankie Maguire quiet. Those are the two players that have really stood out in the last couple of weeks. Is testament as to what Jimmy McNulty's actually doing there. And Manny D didn't manage to score, but Tyler Smith did. And again, it is like York. It's not always the players you expect getting the goals, but as long as somebody's getting the goals, yeah, this won't hurt Boston too much. They've had a very good run. To lose only 1-0, it's like a perfect away defeat, if that makes sense. Because you don't want to go and get absolutely obliterated. But Hurst has got Boston really ticking again. As we said, the standout players, Kersons and Maguire. You've had Rooney and Jamie Grimes at the back there, shoring it all up, making sure those goals don't concede anymore like they were doing. But yeah, it's advantage Rochdale at the moment, and it'll be very hard to get them off the top. But, and I've seen this in the YouTube comments, it's still going down to the last game of the season.
Yeah, I think there's plenty more twists and turns to come yet. I don't think it's going to be as plain and simple as Rochdale just winning every game from now to the end of the season. I think something will happen somewhere. There's still some tricky games in there. York will be banking on them slipping up. Craig, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, I think it's a case of job done and banana skin averted there. It seemed like it had the potential of them dropping points and they managed not to. As Louis said, I think earlier in the season, this isn't a game we deep dive because it wasn't a classic in any stretch of the imagination. But it's the significance on the game now. And I keep mentioning Louis here. I must be liking him today for a change. He spoke about them being 14 games unbeaten, but in that 14 games, we talked about them having a bit of a blip. So that shows how high their standards have been this season, that we called a couple of draws a minor blip, majoring on potentially major later on if it continued. But it hasn't. They've gone back on top. It's fully in their hands now. If they win every game between now and the end of the season, they win it by winning at Braintree the week before that York game, but I'm still expecting many twists and turns. Boston, yeah, I think everyone can give them this one. They've played so well recently. It's not a game they're expected to get points in. That they've shot, they've made themselves hard. They've conceded one and then had a chance themselves. I think that Curzon shot was their first shot on target, so I don't think they had any for about 83, 84 minutes. I think if you're in a bad run of form, you call that a really negative performance. But because they've got the points on the board and they've had a really good run, you can make it. It's understandable. And if he scores that chance, it's a masterstroke from the manager. And that's the fine margins in football, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And their performance reminded me quite a lot of when Carlisle went to Rochdale. We didn't have a shot all game, so Boston had one on us. But a lot of teams are going there and trying to shut up shop, and it's a sign of obviously how good Rochdale are because you don't want to get blown away. So credit to them. Next up, we've got York 3, Eastleigh 1. A lot of set pieces, a lot of if Ollie Pearce isn't getting you, if the strikers aren't getting you, the defenders are going to get you instead. Mark, what did you make of this one?
Well, to be the man, you've got to beat the man, and York are in pursuit of trying to beat the man, which is Rochdale at the moment. We've been saying all season that Malachi Fagan Walcott, what a defender he is. The absolute linchpin of the defence, 2 goals. They'll be glad to have him back. What an embarrassment of riches they've got in the back. Zach Johnson, they've got Morgan Williams, they've got Fagan Walcott back, and the scorer, the first York scorer, Mark Kitchen as well, who we haven't mentioned that much. But if we haven't mentioned you that much, you're doing your job absolutely perfectly. Quietly done, and that's the way to do it. Don't raise your profile in a very certain way. And in fact, it's just putting in solid performances. Then Kitchen is your man for that. Aaron Blair got the first goal of the game for Eastleigh, but it doesn't get any better for them, does it? I know they've got till the 26th of March to possibly reinforce the squad, but these results aren't helping. And when you've got teams below them starting to gain momentum and starting to gain points, they must be thinking now there is a serious issue, and that could be potential relegation. They're staring at it in the face. They've got to do something quickly to get the Eastleigh team motivated again. There just seems to be the biggest lack of confidence going. And we went on, our hopes were high for them at the start of the season. Our hopes is that the best they can actually wish for is avoiding relegation. It seems odd saying that, but they've got to do something. But York, yeah, still the powerhouse, and it's going to make it very interesting in that last game of the season.
Definitely. Louis, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, I think this one was always going to be the case of working out what York were like bouncing back from that Boreham Wood defeat last midweek. And they started slowly, I think. I don't think they started the best they could. And obviously Blair got his 13th, as Mark said, 13th of the season. I think that was, in a weird way, it was the worst thing that Eastleigh did because it's poked the bear and York woke up and then they went off and had their usual game plan and the usual chances and took the game away from them. Fagan Walcott came back into the team. Obviously, he's been injured, and it was one of the 3 changes that Maynard made. Obviously, he had to make the change for Stones because he was sent off in midweek. But it just shows again the strength and depth that they've got, that they can take someone like Morgan Williams out and bring in someone like Fagan Walcott. And that's 10 goal contributions he's got so far this season. So goals and assists for him in 27 games is incredible for a defender. That is absolutely outstanding. And that was 100 goals they've scored in all competitions this season for York as well. So it's just incredible numbers. I think their goal difference is something like plus 67 or something ridiculous. And you've still got, what, 10 or 11 games left this season.
Oh,
Oh, for God's sake.
gee.
But I mean,
Definitely.
for Eastleigh, it's 2 wins in 11 games now. I think, as we said with Boston for Rochdale, there's no shame in losing to York, but I think it's the nature of which the goals came about, where they'll probably think, oh, for God's sake, most of them were set pieces. Like, I think, I can't remember which goal it was, but I think Archie Harris for Eastleigh completely loses Fagan Walcott at the back post, and he's caught sleeping. You just watch the ball going to Fagan Walcott's path, and they're in real trouble. With, obviously mentioned the off-field issues that they've got. They've got Brackley this week, and if they lose that, that is danger for them. That's real danger, because they've got Rochdale next week, and you don't want to play Rochdale at the moment. So yeah, they're one of the sides that I think the likes of Morecambe and Gateshead, which obviously we'll get onto, will be looking at and thinking, yeah, we can have a bit of them.
Yeah, definitely. We'll mention the midweek games a bit later on, but that one with Brackley is massive for both teams. I'll probably watch that instead of the Carlisle game. Don't want to watch that. Craig, what did you make of this one?
Yeah, I think it's been summed up quite well. Eastleigh poked the bear a lot earlier than you need to poke the bear in this instance. We talked about obviously Boston keeping it tight for 83 minutes. Eastleigh scored, but then defensively switched off from set pieces. But I think when you got a team like York, they're going to wear you down, and you probably are going to switch off in moments. Both players have been excellent this season, and obviously Kitchen's experience of going up last year will do them the world of wonder in these moments as well, and maybe in the playoffs if they get there. I say get there, obviously you know what I mean by that. They fall into them rather than get in there last minute. Yeah, Fagan Walcott, he's a right centre half, I think he plays, but he almost plays as a right winger when you watch him in action. He's very combative, flies forwards, and he's an excellent addition back to the team. And that's no disservice to players that have replaced him, because they've been absolutely excellent as well. But he has that. He's league ready. There's no doubt about it. It was a surprise when they got him last season, and the fact that he's been there so long shows obviously the project that York are in. It'd be interesting if they don't go up. He'd probably be alongside. I'd probably say Josh Stones, probably the two that you'd expect to move on the most if they didn't go up this season. So yeah, they're ones to watch in that sense. But yeah, Eastleigh, I think their biggest problem obviously is defensively as well. They're quite poor. Blair's got 13 goals. Usually, if a player has 13 goals in your team, you'd expect that to be enough to probably keep your heads above water. That's something Braintree are definitely lacking, is that goal scorer. But yeah, I think they'd be all right. But when we had them finishing fifth in the league in our predictions, all right, is miles off it for them. But I honestly think if they won't go this season, but next season will be probably maybe even tougher for them with the off-field stuff. So yeah, one to watch, but potentially for all the wrong reasons, unfortunately for Eastleigh.
Yeah, and I don't know if any of you've seen as well what Matt Ugler posted on social media about. I don't know if it was tongue in cheek, it probably was, but he said that he'd put bonuses in the set pieces for the players for how many goals they score from set pieces. And he says, I put bonuses in the set pieces and they've turned into Arsenal. He obviously got the money's worth out of them.
I'll just say something about Matt Ugler as well, because Craig's just gone on about the two most likely to move on are Josh Stones and Malachi Fagan Walcott. Matt Ugler is the type of man who will put a ridiculous price tag on them as well to make sure that they don't go. And he's perfectly entitled to do that. But if somebody might come along and say, I'll give you 200k for Fagan Walcott, Matt Ugler will sit there and say, nah, 600 will do. And rightly, I hope he does, because the quality players.
Firepower will win on that case, though, Mark. It always
Well,
does.
yeah. What is a contract these days? It's nothing more than toilet paper, isn't it? So it's not. And here's a name we haven't mentioned at all this season, who's been kept out. It's the captain, Callum Howe, as well. Not often you can do that, but that's how good they are. That is the depth of the squad that they've got. And yeah, it's still going to go down to the last game of the season. That's the last time I'll mention it.
We're going to the opposite end of the table, so I can't see
Oh
you
boy,
bringing it
aren't
up
we?
again. Sutton 0, Morecambe 5. Louis,
Take it away.
what on earth, mate? What happened?
yeah, just every single week, I think I come on this podcast and bang on about consistency is needed from us, and this just highlights it. It was an absolute horror show for the first, I think it was 25 minutes. We just got blown away, and it was all mostly our own doing as well. The first goal is poor, I think, from left back Topology. He's a bit weak in the challenge, I think, further up the field. And then obviously they've got the gape and hole down our left hand side, down their right hand side, which has been an issue this season as well. Nolan puts the ball back across, and everyone just watches it go through. There's like a fake shot, I think, a missed kick from one of our players, and it falls to their player, and they just tap it in, and it dribbles in the back of the net. It's the worst possible start. And then the second goal as well, direct free kick from Nolan. You look at the free kick before it's taken, you think, how on earth has he scored from there? He's got no right to score from there, but the player on the near post just doesn't get anything on it. Just, I think there's a slight deflection on it, maybe. But again, something that the defence should be able to clear. Third one is quality. I take my hat off to Nolan for that. He's put enough curl and enough bend on it to get it in the top corner from taking the corner. So that's the only one I think I don't have a query against. And then the fourth one is just, yeah, I don't know what Eden Pruitt's doing. It's either a heavy touch or I don't know who he's trying to pass it to, because the pass has just no weight on it, and Nolan gets the easiest hat trick of his career probably in some respects. And then we go and compound the misery by having Eccleston sent off, and it's a stupid free kick to give away in the first place from him, shoves him in the back when he doesn't need to, and then on the way in he stamps him on the leg. It's just reckless, and it's a lack of experience, I guess. In some ways he is only 18, but that's his second red card for us now for violent conduct this season, so it's 7 games he's going to miss this season. He's a really talented player, but it's just been an Achilles heel for us that we just seem to lose our heads a lot. We've had so many sendings off this season. I think we've had the record number of penalties given against us this season, and that was it. It was game done at that point. We just didn't lay a glove on Morecambe, a side that have conceded 77 goals, and I don't even remember us having a significant shot on target, really. Had a
That's
couple
because
of
you
long
left at half
shots.
time, mate.
Thankfully, I say thankfully, I left after the 5th goal. Actually, that was the one that did it for me. But I think that's the thing. If you do the basics right, I think the only goal that goes in is the third one, probably. Yeah, just complete inconsistency. In the flip side, it is only one game. In the same way that our win at Hartlepool was only one game, you have to look at it that way from a Sutton persuasion and think we are capable of going to teams like Hartlepool, going to teams like Halifax, and putting in a performance and getting a point. So that's the only benefit I can take out of it. Brush it under the carpet and move on. Credit to Morecambe. They've given themselves a chance, 10 points from their last 6 games. The thing is for them is that they've got to pick up those wins in their next 5 games, because they've got the first place, third place, 14th place, fourth and fifth in their last 5 games of the season. So they really have to rack up some points in the next 4 games to give themselves a chance. Otherwise, they'll have pressure games against the sides at the top going into the relegation battle at the end of the season.
Yeah, for Morecambe, that's huge for them. I think I said before we pressed record, I was just saying, like, how do you recover from that? I know you say one game, but it was a damaging game. So it'd be interesting to see how you bounce back from that. Mark, what did you make of this one?
Oh, Aggie's got a job on his hands, hasn't he? He's going to have to get the confidence back into Sutton. A bizarre performance, and it really was. That's all I can take on Sutton. And yes, Louis said that Eccleston got sent off, never ever helped, but 18 years of age, you can learn by your mistakes. But my goodness gracious me, I have said it all season long. Jack Nolan is one of the best players in this league. He's up there with Callum Roberts for me. And the hat trick was just typical, because the thing is with Jack Nolan is that you don't know what sort of goal he's going to score. He's a really unorthodox player, and I love it. I absolutely love it. When nobody knows quite what you're going to get out of him, the free kick, I think there was a slight deflection at the near post, but it went in anyway. The corner, yeah, straight in. I've been praying for Mac to score one of those this season. Now I've finally seen one at a different game. His hat-trick goal was just absolutely woeful. I mean, God almighty. They need to work on the defensive efforts there, because that was just so poor. But yeah, even the first one, ex-Mac midfielder Paul Lewis scoring, but it was just a scramble. And then the fifth, it sort of summed up Sutton's day, but both teams were going in there wanting the points which are so vital. But I don't think even Chris Agata would have said to you, oh, God, we're going to lose 5-0 today. Not even the most pessimistic of people would have predicted that scoreline. But it gives Morecambe a bit of hope, but with the fixtures coming up, yeah, they are going to have to get their dancing shoes on. Really, they've got to perform. They've got to show that they can do it. Liam Hogan and Harley Dean at the back seems to have made a difference, but Sutton have got a lot of work to do. But out of this, you'd think that Morecambe were higher up the table.
Yeah, definitely. Craig, what did you make of this one?
Yeah, I'm going to focus more on Morecambe. I'm not going to talk about the doom and gloom of another club because we'll be moving on to my one very shortly with that as well. But yeah, momentum's a big thing in football as well, and Morecambe seem to be getting that alongside Gateshead, who obviously we'll talk about later as well. They both look like they're giving themselves a fighting chance now. We've been on here numerous times in the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, probably even longer with that with Morecambe, and said no, they're doomed. But they've got rid of their PE teacher and they've got a proper coach in who's not just got the badges, he's got the experience. And I was pessimistic about it. I thought it was not the wrong change because the manager had to go, but I didn't think it was the right man to get in. I thought it was more of a going on what he's done previously for the club rather than what he's done recently. But whatever he's done there, it seemed to start slow, but he's got it right now. And Louis talked about them final games, but trust me, if Morecambe's form keeps going, Rochdale and York are not going to be looking forward to that game because they're on paper. If the football was played on paper, they've probably got a top 7 squad. Morecambe, I'd probably say, with some of the players they've got in there. So you could argue that they're going to be a tough nut for anyone to crack lately. Now they've seemed to have shored up a bit defensively. They've always scored goals this season. If they do go down, I'd love to know if there's a team that's gone down scoring 4 or 5 in a game as many times as they have, because they've scored 4 or 5, probably 7 or 8 times this season now. It's been ridiculous. So yeah, full credit to them, and yeah, not looking forward to Saturday, to be honest, because we're going there on Saturday, and it's going to be a very tough game against a team with momentum. But likewise, football can flip very quickly. We win that, and suddenly we're looking a little bit bright, and they're looking a bit more doomed again.
Yeah, it's ever changing every week. I feel like I'm coming on here and every week we're saying, "Oh, this team looks like they're down." The only team that seems consistent with us is Truro. Everybody else is just flipping around, and we don't know what's going to happen.
Credit to them for getting into that position, because I honestly didn't see a way out for them, and now they're the closest out of 4 to getting out effectively on paper.
Yeah, definitely, and I agree with what Craig said as well. I was like, them fixtures, they've got. I think Carlisle's still got to go there as well. Don't fancy us there if they're flying and they're scoring goals and playing well.
Jim Bentley understands Morecambe as well. He was there as a player. He's been there as a manager. He's more or less a Morecambe legend. I don't think he would have taken the job just to see them go down. That's not anybody who's watched Jim Bentley play will understand what type of player he actually is. He doesn't want to get relegated. So it's up to him, but he's got the attitude. He's got the attitude that Morecambe fans understand, and that can go a long way.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, Braintree 1, Wealdstone 4.
Oh,
Craig,
boy.
I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked to Louis. What happened?
I'm busy. Honestly, men against boys, one team that were together, fought for everything, ran through brick walls for each other, showed quality, and then the other team was Braintree. We looked disjointed, we looked unorganised. How we took the lead in that game, I don't know, because we were so poor at the start of the game. And then we grabbed the penalty. Messiah Edwards got into the team and was the only bright spark. And when I mean a bright spark, he probably was at times the best player on the pitch, which shows something when the next 11 all come from Wealdstone. He was the only bright spark in our team. He won a penalty. Akinde rolled it home. He got barrels of abuse from the Wealdstone fans, obviously being ex-Barnet and the connections there. And I really thought, right, we've played pretty poorly for 15 minutes, but we've gone ahead. How many times this season have I thought, We've played well, and I've blinked and we're 1-0 down? So I thought maybe this could be something for us. We never ever got going. Wealdstone were prolific on their chances. Terry made a few good saves. It could have been easily more. But yeah, I've got no complaints about the result whatsoever. Wealdstone deserved it. And for a team that hadn't won away since I think it was September time, it was a really good result for them and thoroughly deserved. But yeah, there was a lot of doom and gloom around the place at the end. It was almost empty by full time when they did add a fourth. I think it's gone down as a Dibley Diaz own goal. He come on, made his debut, was okay. I think that describes most of the loan players we had there were okay. But yeah, I think it doesn't matter whether he touches it or not. There's a bloke behind him tapping it. And I only realised because I couldn't put myself through the highlights talking to you guys that it'd gone down as a Dibley Diaz own goal, to be fair. But yeah, I really like Nathan Tashunka, or if that's how you say his name. I thought he was very good again. Obero, Hutchinson, that they were just really good. Wealdstone, and again, another team that I thought got their managerial appointments wrong, have come to Braintree and battered us. So another one that looks like it's right. And again, good points for them, because if we'd have won that, they'd have been 3 points above us. Now they're 9 points above us and 9 points from the drop zone. So probably another season in this division for them. A semi-final trip, a big chance to go to Wembley. Wealdstone would have took this at the start of the season. They were followed superbly as well by a fan base. Granted, I didn't appreciate some of the stuff. I could hear them shouting about players, and I thought some of it crossed the line on that. But the amount they bought, I know it's one of the shorter journeys, was tremendous for what is one of the smallest clubs at this division. A massive credit for their turnout there. And they got a performance they'd have been absolutely delighted with. But for me, I talked Braintree's needed to win 4 of their next 6, and that was before Truro. We beat Truro, lost to Gateshead. I've never been so happy that we got technical difficulties, because I was jumping on after as soon as that game finished. And that wouldn't have been pretty after Keaton Ward, who even managed to give me a little tweet about it as well. For a little bit of tongue in cheek on that, because obviously me and Dan had him on before. That was all good natured. But yeah, we start prepping for the National League South. And when I do my National League South review later, you'll notice a result in there that made every Braintree's fans' day a lot worse as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I got a tweet off Keaton Ward as well. Mine was a bit more positive because I
Yeah,
praised
that's
him on a
because you
good
were
goal.
praising him and I was going up. I didn't think it was a good goal. It was all very much tongue in cheek, good natured.
It was good to have a
he
chat with
sliced
him.
it.
Yeah, it was good to have a chat with him and that. We enjoyed having him on the pod. Louis, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, complete calamity for Braintree, and I think it could have been worse. I think Mason Terry pulled off quite a few good saves, albeit for the third goal, he palms it straight into the middle of the pitch where the striker taps it in. Yeah, Steve Pitt's post-match was quite depressing, really. He said it's the worst performance that any side of him has delivered since he's been at the football club by a country mile. He said nothing to offer positive in the performance whatsoever. It's 1 win in 7 for Braintree now. Yeah, I think it's pretty bleak timed, but if you go and win at Morecambe on Saturday, it could be roles reversed, and then you could be a bit closer depending on how Brackley and Eastleigh do over the next couple of weeks. So I do think that it's a big ask, and I think given the nature of the form that Braintree are in, I can't see you getting out of it, but 1 win can change momentum and shift the momentum very quickly. So we'll see what happens on the weekend for Wealdstone. As you said, it was a long time coming for their first away win. 4th of November when they won 2-0 at Yeovil was the last time they won on the road. 2 of the top 9 to play in the next 7 games, so they've got a chance to maybe put some distance between themselves and the bottom, even though it's 9 points now. It could be a mid-table finish for them. They've got a lot of players, and I don't mean this any disrespectfully, but they look like streetwise, like the kind of players playing in the Cage.
100%.
Yeah,
They
the
bullied
ones that
us. They
play.
bullied
Yeah,
us.
yeah, and really technical players as well, really good players that could play at a higher level. Just getting that consistency maybe is the one thing for them. And obviously something we haven't mentioned, Gary Waddock in charge of Wealdstone. I think I was the same with Craig. I thought it was an odd appointment, and whether it was an upgrade on Sam Cox, I was unsure, because I think Sam Cox has been there and done it 2 seasons ago when he kept Wealdstone away from danger for the last, I think, 8 or 9 games it was he got given when he was at the club. But fair play to him, he's pulled off a massive win, and he's got a nice end to the season to look forward to if they can just pick up a couple of wins and maybe take them to Wembley and get some silverware, which would be a great way to get back into management, having not been it since 2019.
Yeah, sorry. One thing I forgot to add on the game is we were really bad. I think I've added that enough, to be fair. But at 2-1, I don't think the highlights would have picked this up, because it probably wasn't classed as a highlight. Shea Cooper was fouled. Whether it was in the box, out the box, I couldn't see from my angle. I thought it was in the box. But the referee says, waves it away, goes no, points to the penalty spot after the lino, spoke into the lino, and then quickly going, oh no, it's a free kick here. So whether it was a penalty or not, I think it was in the box. That's a massive decision at 2-1. We've been bad, but we get it back to 2-2. All that ascendancy is with us, and suddenly it's different. But yeah, on that note, though, if we'd have got anything from the game, it would have been a travesty, because we were absolutely shocking.
Yeah, but it could have spun on that decision. It could have done. Mark, what did you make of this one?
Oh, God, this is going to be an interesting one to follow after we were absolutely shocking. And to be fair, they were. I've said about the lack of goals. I think if you had got the penalty and made it 2-2, it would have been an apoplectic shock in the entire stadium. But the lack of a natural goal scorer is beginning to hurt. I know John Akinde's got some goals, but you want more than a handful. You do need more than a handful. You've got to March 26th. Maybe somebody will pop up then. You just don't know. But it's looking very desperate now for Braintree. When I did my switcheroo, if you will, I wasn't doing it as a comical dig at Craig. I was deadly serious, and half of me wishes I hadn't now, because we've looked into the matrix here, Neo, and it's coming true. But half of me, the other half's going, see, told you, but no, it's not good. And when Steve Pitt, I saw the line, when he said, I've nothing positive to say about this game. Braintree's players have got to start playing for him, because at the end of it all, it's his job on the line, it's his neck. And Braintree could pull the trigger on him early if performances like this carry on. And I don't want to see that, but it's not very motivational when you see your manager say that too. But Wealdstone, are they this season's Aldershot? FA Trophy looming. There's a potential mid-table. Gary Waddock, I was watching him on the Big Match Revisited on Sunday morning. Playing for QPR, but if one swallow doesn't make a summer. It's a good win, but with so much to look forward to, are we looking at this year's Aldershot? It could be, because if we get a Southport and Marine FA Trophy final, my God, we'll never hear the last of it up here.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Solihull 1, Gateshead 2. Louis, what did you make of this one?
Yeah, quite an interesting game, this one. I think looking at the highlights and the statistics, it looked like a fairly even game. And obviously, Solihull took the lead. It was a really nice opener from them. The assist is outstanding from Warman. The reverse pass, he has to put it down into the channel. And Lipsick, on loan from Stoke, finishes. He's had quite a few goals this season, a good loan signing for them. And then Gateshead got back into it. Lovely finish from Chapman again on 35 minutes. It's 3 goals in 5 games for him, and he's one of their standout players at the moment. And one of the many reasons why they seem to have been able to tick and get some results, Gateshead. And it was a game that just ebbed and flowed, and I think both sides had chances. Obviously, Solihull Moors' biggest one was the penalty, and I think Wilkinson's penalty is still flying in the skies of Solihull, given that it went over the stand and into the car park.
It's the
But yeah,
airport. It is Birmingham Airport that's just in there, so it might have ended up in airspace, to be fair.
yeah, that might be why the flights weren't taken off, because the flying ball was in the airspace. The goal for Gateshead winner is just, it's the scrappiest goal you'll ever see. It's just ridiculous. And he almost makes a mess of it, Radcliffe, when he chips the ball and it comes off the crossbar, and you think, Christ, if you make a mess of that. But full credit to them. It's a game of fine margins, and they've come out on the right end of it. And that, as it's seen with the Rochdale at the top of the division, it doesn't matter how you get the 3 points, as long as you get them, that's the most important thing. And for them, they're off fire at the moment. Gateshead, Elliott's really got something out of them. 4 wins in their last 6 games, 13 points from those 6 games as well. Over 2 points per game. And to get to 50 points now, they need 1.6 points per game. So they're on track to get it. They're on track to get to that 50 points mark if they can keep this form going. And they've got Sutton and Wealdstone at home, either side of Southend and Bournemouth away. So a good chance to maybe get those home wins going again, considering they picked up their first one since August last midweek. And a quick one on Solihull. They're just inconsistent, as a lot of teams are in this league. But for them, you need to take your chances in games. I think Milliton said after the game, sometimes they play absolutely outstanding, sometimes they don't, and that's the problem for them at the moment. They conceded 2+ goals in 46% of their games, so they're chasing games in that sense. They need to score 3 goals in 46% of their games to get wins, and that's their issue at the moment defensively. And they don't take the chances to get those 3 goals to get the 3 points in games.
Yeah, our resident stat man there with all the stats. Nice to know. Mark, what did you make of this one?
I did see our Solihull supporting friend Callum was basically having kittens with this result. Really, it went wrong so quickly, but fair. But all credit to Gateshead. What an absolute turnaround again. Dead and buried. They've come in. They've got Rob Elliott, and the signings he has made are workhorse signings. I'll pick out Mark Beck again. a lot of people look at him and go, not my type of player. I don't think he really cares about that because he's been playing very well. Harry Chapman has been in the goals as well. He's one of the catalysts of bringing this form to Gateshead. When we were looking at Gateshead, the off the field stuff that never happened in the summer, and I've said a couple of times as well that you end up like feeling sorry for them being in this position. Gateshead's players, Gateshead's management are not feeling sorry for themselves at the moment. They've got a proper chance here, and I really hope they take it because the form they are in, I don't know where they are. They must be in the top 5 of the form table. Must be. But they've given themselves real hope, and with everybody else above them dropping points, they've got to fancy themselves because I'm not sure who plays them next, but there's going to be a lot of teams looking there thinking, they might not be the pushover we think they are. Yeah, I think pre-season's going to come a little early. The mid-table position, are they happy with that? I mean, if I was Chris Millington, I certainly wouldn't be happy with it. But they've got the talent there, but they've got to look at next season and. Yeah, mid-table's probably as good as it's going to get for what Gates said. We'll be keeping a big eye on them in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. Craig, what did you make of this one?
Yeah, Solihull are consistently inconsistent, aren't they? You never know what you're going to get with them, and I think I think it was Gattuso quote, which I don't think I can quite say on air. It probably sums them up quite nicely at the moment. For Gateshead, if you could pick a week as a relegation team, this is probably the week you'd have. You've shown resilience in both games. Braintree had probably the better chances against them midweek, missed them. A bit of magic from Keaton Ward, and they won it. And then this one, they had to dig in. They scored a scrappy goal to win, but no one will care. They've got 2 wins, a home win and away win, a clean sheet at home. They've come back from behind in the away game. They've shown resilience. They've shown character. They've shown determination. They've shown they are up for this fight. And they've probably, in terms of points per game, probably the best at the bottom 4 now. They've got games in hand. It's what they do with them. But yeah, they've got the momentum to get out of this. And for me, them and possibly Morecambe are probably the teams that Brackley, Eastleigh, Sutton, if they play like they did on Saturday, really need to be worried about. Not Braintree, not Truro now. It's Gateshead, it's Morecambe.
Yeah, I agree with Craig. I think if you're Brackley and Eastleigh playing each other midweek and you're looking and seeing how Gateshead get on and things like that, because they're the teams you worry about because they're flying, they're in great form, and momentum's huge at both ends of the table, like we've mentioned. Last for the deep dive, we've got Bournemouth 5, Brackley 3. This was actually a really good game at 12:30 for a change. Normally they're pretty rubbish. I thought Zach Brunt was outstanding in this game, and Abdul Malik as well was good. Bournemouth do seem to be back to their best, even though they did nearly try and throw this away. Louis, what did you make of this one?
Yeah, as you said, the 12:30 curse of the zone game is over now. I think this was an absolute cracker, wasn't it? Some of the goals they scored to start with, they came out on absolute fire, Bournemouth Wood. And I think, as you say, Brunt was at the heart of it. Everything seemed to go through him. But they've got so many good technicians in that team. Regan Booty's another one. And that reverse pass, I love reverse passes, as you can tell from the number of times I've said on this podcast. But the pass to Brunt for the assist is outstanding for the first one. It completely changes the defensive footing. And then obviously Matt rushes in these places he usually is to tap home. I think that's his 20th or 21st of the season. I think he's on now, considering he got the brace as well. And then both the second and the third goals are really nice finishes from Richardson and Abdul Malik, both absolute venomous strikes into the top corner, and there's not much that Brackley could do about it. But Andy Wing, credit to, he did make the change. He made a double change on 33 minutes, I think, and it changed shape. And he said in his post-match that after that, they were magnificent, and it's the best that they've played since he's been there. So complete roles reverse on that. And Luke Garrett said the exact opposite. He said it didn't feel like a win because of how bad Bournemouth Wood were after that first half an hour, 40 minutes. But it's that mentality of nothing to lose from Brackley. I think when you're 3-0 down in that game, you think you may as well go for it because albeit goal difference could come into it, but a defeat is defeat at the end of the day, and they almost did themselves a good favour. Five straight defeats for them now. Obviously, Andy Wing hasn't picked up a point yet. It's 1 win in 11 games for them, but they did have 21 attempts in this game. They created an XG of 3.004, which is more than their previous 4 games combined. So if they carry on with that rate of chance creation, they could get themselves a good point against Eastleigh in midweek. From Boreham Wood, they are back to their best. I think there's a bit of mojo about them. One defeat in 7 games, and that came away at Tamworth. And I think the key thing for them is Garrard's got an unchanged side back. I think it's 5 games in a row now where he hasn't changed his side. Previously, there was a bit of rotation with Kensdale coming in, with Clayton coming in. Obviously, Ashmore came back into goal, and now Ted Kurd's gone back in. But yeah, I think they found their mojo, and they've got none of the top 7 left to play, and they've only got 3 of the top half, which is Halifax, Solihull, and Hartlepool. So they've got a really good chance of cementing that 3rd spot, which, as we know, is very important when it comes to the playoffs because you're 1 game away from Wembley final if you get 3rd spot.
Yeah, definitely. Mark, what did you make of this one?
God, wasn't it boring? God, not much action in this one, was there? No, brilliant game. Nicely chosen to zone. And that's very faint praise. Yeah, Boreham Wood, the talent, we go on about the talents that Rochdale have, York have, the talents in every squad. Boreham Wood, Zach Brunt, one of these signings of the season, and we've said this about so many players, but he just makes them tick. He really does. Matt Rush has been in the goals as well. You need that when you got your strikers flying, keeping Luke Norris on the bench, but anybody would, if you saw somebody who has come into the squad and just goes bang bang with the goals, you want to keep him in. And Luke Norris was scoring goals at the start of the season as well. There are them options, but Abdul Malik, if they keep hold of him for next season, then they have done very well. That was such a scintillating goal. It really was. The 5th goal, I believe it was Rush again, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, because the goalkeeper decided to see what life was like outside his 18-yard box for some strange reason, and he just got. And the look on his face when he knew that the goal was coming was just, it was a masterpiece. The shoulders dropped, and that was that. But Brackley put up a fight. I believe it was Ben Wadskou's free kick was very precise, very pinpoint. But I'm surprised that Andy Wing hasn't managed to get anything. This Brackley team could be very similar to the one he had at Solihull, and you would have thought he would have gotten going by now. So how they've not managed to pick up anything since he's been there is a bit of a mystery, really. But will he change anything before March 26th? I don't know. But they need to start picking up points, otherwise Brackley and Eastleigh are just going to be sinking like a stone if something doesn't get done quickly. But Boreham Wood, yeah, they're on Carlisle's tail. And I think, as Dan will allude to, Carlisle better start picking up, otherwise that 3rd spot, gotta get something, pal.
Yeah, it's true. We'll come to them in a little while. Craig, what did you make of this game?
Yes, it's a very good game of football, wasn't it? One you can just sit back and enjoy, and before you know it, the game's over. It's one of them that the game flies by. Louis talked about obviously Brackley improving their XG on this game. I'd worry that maybe it's a bit of an anomaly in this one, and they've still managed to get nothing from it. When you've had them low XGs and you've got absolutely nothing, and then you've got an XG which was ridiculously high, and you've scored and you've converted and still lost the game, that's going to be a big worry as well. And I do fear for them. I think that game midweek is massive. Even if they get a point, there is a good point for them. If they lose again, and the likes of Gateshead and Morecambe keep knocking on that door, eventually they're going to fall through that trapdoor and be in that relegation zone. And then morale can go as well. Football is confidence, it's momentum. We've talked about it a lot today, and they seem to be on a downward spiral. They've just got to stop it somehow. Get a point at Eastleigh, shut up shop, go for that 0-0. We know they've got clean sheets in them. We know they probably need to shut up shop after how open they were on Saturday. But yeah, it's difficult for them. But yeah, Boreham Woods, they'd be delighted with the way the form's been. For me, I like watching Miranda in the team. He was a bit part coming, and then they started struggling, and now he's starting most weeks, and he's doing really well in there. Which I like to see players that are success stories after Braintree. And he was been, you could get a few question marks wherever he would be, but he seems to be now. But maybe him at that base is giving that likes of Booty, Brunt, Rush, Clayton, Richardson, all them Abdul Malik. They've got so many options up there. Maybe having that base is coming to fruition for them as well again. And yeah, I wouldn't want to be the team that plays them in the playoffs because that again they can be rubbish, but when they click, my God, do they click?
Yeah, I think they'll be one of the probably other than your Rochdale or York. Boreham Wood's the other team you don't want to play in the playoffs. I think everybody else would fancy their chances against each other, but yeah, I wouldn't want to play Boreham Wood. That's it for the deep dive. Next up, we've got 6 in 6 minutes, which is my turn. We'll start with Carlisle 2, Southend 2. Georgie Kelly was gifted the opening goal after a mistake at the back. Great pressing from Stephen Wern. Then Regan Linney got his first goal in what feels like forever to put us 2-0 up, put us in a really good position. Then Mark Hughes decides that he just wants to shut up shop and play defensively and give up everything in the second half. Then you could just see what was happening. Southend came back into it, and you could really see that Carlisle needed to change something. We didn't. And Andy Dallas got the first goal back, took a little bit of a deflection, and then it was all Southend, all Southend. Harry Boyes down the left was a constant threat. He was really good in the second half. And then the cross in, Terrell Thomas turns into his own net. Bit of a calamity. Not, it's something we're used to seeing really from Terrell Thomas, to be fair. But it wasn't his fault. The game was on Mark Hughes. It was a game that you could see drifting, and we've seen it many times this season. But massive credit to the 626 Southampton fans that came up for the half-5 game, which is massive from them. So well done to them. Yeovil 0, Scunthorpe 3. That's more like it for Scunthorpe, isn't it? There were 6 without a win, conceding loads of goals. They needed that, they really did. Yeovil, back-to-back wins they had, and then lose this one. So I would say for them, they're probably safe, but they probably need maybe another 2 wins just to make sure. Scunthorpe, obviously the goal with Danny Whitehall up and the scoring from the penalty spot, and then Loney Leo Farrell got 2 goals, which again for Scunthorpe, it's a good sign that it's not just Roberts, Whitehall doing all the heavy lifting. There's other players there that are going to score as well. Next up, we've got Hartlepool 0, Halifax 1. That man Will Harris again with a brilliant goal. I think it was 8 minutes from time he got it. That was the difference, and this is why when Hartlepool beat Carlisle a couple of weeks ago, I said, that people were saying about Hartlepool aren't consistent enough. They can be brilliant one week, but then they lose a couple of games. They don't score enough goals normally, and that was a huge win for Halifax. So it does keep them. It does look like it's going to be a straight shootout now between them and Southend for that final playoff place. But big win for Halifax on the road. Then Forest Green 2, Aldershot 1. Aldershot have been in good form, but that's back-to-back defeats for them. Tate Campbell up at the scoring, and then Tom Knowles, both in the first half. Then Charlie Warren, man in form for Aldershot, got the goal back, but Forest Green held on for the win. Then you look at Forest Green, they were in a bit of trouble. I think they had 1 win in 9, but now they've got back-to-back wins. Look like they've cemented that playoff place that we were a bit concerned they might fall out of. But again, big win for them. Then you've got Altrincham 2, Truro 0. Declan Howe, we've talked about how good he is, scoring again for Altrincham. Liam Humble's got the second, and that's Declan Howe now 3 goals and an assist in his last 5 games. I think he's been one of the main reasons their form's really turned around, because I remember coming on here after the drew with Morecambe, Altrincham, saying that I'd really worry for them. But they've moved themselves up now. They're 13th in the league, 10 points above the relegation zone. Look safe, really, to me, but probably again similar to Yeovil, another couple of wins will make sure. So for me now, it's you look at it and you just think Truro down. The gap is 11 points for Truro. I just don't see them picking up 11 points from now to the end of the season. Never that would rely on everyone else losing every game as well. So I think they're down. And then we've got Woking 3, Tamworth 1. The 2 teams that I would always say in this league, Solihull moves are in there as well, where you just don't know what you're going to get from either of them. Each given week, it could be a masterclass or it could be absolutely rubbish. We just don't know. Ollie Sanderson, Aidan O'Brien and Matthew Ward with the goals for Woking. 3rd win in 11 games for Woking. 7 points clear of the relegation zone. So again, another team might have one eye over the shoulder, but I do think they'll be fine because they've got performances like this in them. Dan Creaney got the goal for Tamworth, which again, it's nice to see him find his scoring boots and getting a goal, because he hasn't obviously had a great season last season and he's not had the best this year. You'd like to say you just don't know what you're going to get from them, but I think both of them are probably going to finish in that mid-table bracket. What are you laughing at?
Craig almost fell over when he tried to
Oh, I didn't see it. Oh, the joys of live. As long as it wasn't me who messed up, I'm happy. But yeah, that's it for the 66 minutes anyways. I'm going to watch this back and see Craig fall over. I can't wait for
Oh,
that.
please do. It was
We'll,
brilliant.
we'll add that to the end of season bloopers. We'll see what happens. Next up, we've got the League Two relegation roundup. I believe this is you, Louis.
Yeah, so I'd argue there's probably four teams in this battle now for the drop into the National League. A couple of them picked up results. The two teams that did pick up results were the ones outside of the bottom two, or the ones that ended up outside of the bottom two at the end of the weekend. So on Friday night, Cheltenham got a 90th minute equaliser in a 2-2 draw against Barrow, so another set of 2 points drop for Barrow. I think that's another week where they've conceded late on to drop points, I think, as well for them. It's one win in 11 games for Barrow now, so they were on really bleak form, and Dino Marmia really hasn't seemed to have got much out of them since coming in. Crawley 2, Swindon 2. This seemed like a game to not leave early, considering that Swindon got a 91st minute goal from Aaron Ginin to put them 2-1 up in what is a promotion push for them. But then Crawley went up the other end in the 98th minute and got an equaliser and sent their fans into delirium. It is 7 games without a win for Crawley now, but they are outside of the bottom two, so they are picking up points occasionally, but it's wins that you need at this stage of the season. Harrogate went to Milton Keynes, obviously again fighting for promotion themselves. They had a big crowd as well because they were giving out free tickets. It's probably the only way they can fill their ground, quite frankly. And it finished 4-1 to Milton Keynes, with Harrogate opening the scoring, taking the lead against the run of play by the sounds of it. But yeah, MK Dons have moved up to second to that win, so it's no disgrace for Harrogate to lose there. But as you say, you need wins when you're fighting at the bottom. And then Newport, having beaten Tranmere in midweek last week, it got themselves out of the bottom two, went and lost 2-1 at home to Colchester. Failed to back it up. It was a fairly comfortable win for Colchester. And now you look at the table, 21st place Crawley, 36 games played, 29 points. 22nd place Barrow, 34 games, 28 points. Newport, 23rd with 28 points after 36. And Harrogate propping up the rest of the table on 27 points after 36 games. So Barrow have got games in hand, but the thing is, when you're not winning, you want points on the board, not games in hand.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We talk about that all the time on here. Games in hand, I'd rather have the points. Mark, you're up next. National League North promotion roundup.
Oh, yes. I'll start with Mac 1, Chorley 2. Oh, boy, did we miss some chances. Oh, James Gale missed a one-on-one right at the end with Matt Unwin, but we took the lead through Isaac Buckley-Ricketts. And then Mark Ellis, oh, you Bolton and Torquay fans still...
And Carlisle.
And Carlisle, yes. And Carlisle still doing it at 40 years old. He got the equaliser, and then Chorley scored with a free kick, which Ravenhill managed to get a bit of a hand to, but he was on his back like a turtle. And Chorley scored the winner from there. Bit unsavoury scenes at the end as well, with the Chorley fans who came onto the pitch. Apparently they were gouging and possibly doing some harm to one of the ball boys. Then the Chorley players went up to the Mac fans, started gouging them. Then there was a big brawl on the pitch, and I've gone home by then. But talking of going home, South Shields are still top of the league, and they're building up quite a useful gap. I think it's 4 points now. They won 3-0 against Curzon Ashton because AFC Fylde could only draw 1-1 at bottom of the table Leamington. That'll be a big blow, because you think Fylde with Danny Ormerod and such good goal scoring form would have blown them away, but that's the type of results you get in this league. Telford, they're keeping up their playoff momentum. They beat Alfreton 4-1. Kidderminster, they managed to get a 3-1 win at Buxton. Going to Radcliffe and winning 3-1. That's not a bad place to get 3 points at. Darlington, not content with losing 2-1 to Mac in the midweek. They then went and lost 2-1 to Chester. Conal Rawlinson's first game in charge as interim manager. And then we go to the bottom of the league. Hereford pulling themselves up about, 3 million games in hand due to their wonderful pitch. They beat Worksop 3-2 Worksop. Peterborough Sports with Michael Gash in charge now, with Phil Brown as director of football. They lost at home 1-0 to Southport. Oxford, they will start to worry now to see if they can get relegated. They lost 2-0 to Scarborough. Kings Lynn, Yeah, Ian Culverhouse was sacked and Paul Caddis, the ex-Hereford manager, went in. They beat Marine 1-0 and Spennymoor 0, Bedford 0. All to play for.
Next up, we've got National League South with Craig if he's not fallen over.
Yeah, I'm fine, by the way. Thanks for asking.
I
It
figured
was
you were
funny.
because you're still here.
It was far too funny not to ask.
National League South. Louis talked about the League Two, and there probably been only 4 teams that are possible to go down. I've wrote down 12 teams still in contention. I did put a question mark after that, and that's because the 12th team have had some news this week. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but it may have been mentioned once or twice. But KSI has taken some shares in Dagenham and Redbridge. I
Oh, has he?
don't think
Has
it's
he?
been publicised at all, so I'm not sure if you guys knew
I've
that. But
seen about that. You'll have to explain to us.
KSI, that is, not CSI.
Not CSI.
But yeah,
Okay.
and they went and toppled the table toppers Dorking 1-0. So starters you mean to go on with KSI there. He was in attendance with Andy Carroll. Not quite the crossover I thought I'd ever imagined, but it's done something for him yesterday, and they've had a bit of turmoil there recently, so it's nice to see some positivity for them there. And yeah, they're probably the miles outsiders on this one, but they're still in with a chance of playoffs, so never say never with that one. Yeah, we talked about Dorking losing. All the top 3 lost, though. Hornchurch lost to Slough 3-2. A late winner there for Slough. They lost very late away at Tunbridge. So the top 3 all lost, which meant, obviously, Dorking, it was very much finish where you started with the top 3 kind of thing. The real winners were probably Ebbsfleet. They jumped Torquay in the proceedings by beating them 3-0. Maidenhead beat Maidstone. I'm laughing because in my notes I'd put Maidstone beat Maidstone to start with. So Maidenhead beat Maidstone. Hemel Hempstead won a 5-goal thrill against Farnborough, who are in a little bit of trouble down the bottom as well. I'd like to give a result of the day, but I was torn on this one. I couldn't decide whether Chesham beating Western Supermare 4-0 was the best result, with Western sliding right out the playoffs with that result, or the one I talked about earlier, adding to Braintree's doom and gloom, Chelmsford City won 7-1 against Bath's City. So yeah, not a good one to be reading when your team's just lost 4-1 to see your rivals winning 7-1. Chelmsford played Dorking midweek. Chelmsford probably the form team in the table at the moment, and Dorking top but struggling with injuries. One to watch on DAZN in midweek potentially, and I don't know if anyone saw that when it was advertised that Dorking had Borussia Dortmund's flag next to them. So tough test for Chelmsford, no doubt. Midweek going to Borussia Dortmund and that yellow wall. But yeah, I've put 12 teams stay into contention and Dorking stay 5 clear at the top. But yeah, could be another exciting one after last year's interesting finish in the National League South. There could be another one brewing.
Yeah, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. And I think that would obviously make it worse for Braintree if they do go down. If Chelmsford pass them on the way, that would be like double whammy, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it just?
Last up before
I'll
we
have
finish.
a couple of weeks off.
Last up before we finish, we've got our midweek predictions. We'll just quickly fire it round. First up, we've got Aldershot versus Carlisle. I'll go first. I've got 1-1. Mark,
Oh, 2-2.
Louis,
2-1 Carlisle.
Craig.
Someone's getting something, 2-1 Aldershot.
Next up, we've got the game of the midweek, Eastleigh Brackley. Craig,
It's going to be a game where no one really wins, and that'll reflect in the score 1-1.
Louis,
2-1 Brackley.
Mark.
I'm with Craig on this one because this game will do neither side any favours. 1-1.
Similar to the last one, someone's going to get something. I've gone 2-1 Eastleigh. Next up, we've got Scunthorpe versus Sutton. Mark.
Oh, I'm really sorry, Louis, but Scunthorpe are gonna do you 3-0.
I've got 3-1. Mark, I've already asked you. Craig.
2-1 to Scunthorpe.
Louis.
I'm going to back my boys 2-2.
Next up, we've got Southend Gateshead. I've got 1-1 in this one. Louis.
Yeah, I'm going to join you 1-1.
Craig.
Home win 1-0.
That really felt like a life or death situation you were having right there. I could see it in your eyes. Mark.
seem to be drawing quite a lot on this one, and this is no different. 2-2.
Next up, we've got Wealdstone Tamworth. Mark?
2-0 Wealdstone.
Louis?
2-1 Wealdstone.
I've got 2-1 Wealdstone. Craig?
Tamworth seem to have a lot of away Tuesday nights. I mention it quite a lot that I think they struggled in them. I'm going to go 3-1 Wealdstone.
Yeah, and then last up, we've got Woking versus Boreham Wood. Craig?
Thriller. 3-3.
Louis?
3-2 Boreham Wood.
Mark?
3-0 Boreham Wood, and he still can't blame Mac for playing on their pitch.
Yeah, I've gone 2-0 Boreham Wood. I've not gone as eventful as the other guys. But yeah, that's it from us. Apologies for missing the last couple of episodes. Hopefully you stick with us and you'll be watching this one when it goes out. But yeah, hopefully, apart from Craig falling over, it all went okay and it'll all be fine.
Yeah, I'm
But
fine,
yeah.
thanks.
I'm sure he'll let you know if he's injured tomorrow and he's putting in a whiplash claim or anything like that. I'm sure he'll let us know. But thanks to Mark, Louis and Craig as always for joining me, and thanks everyone for watching. Take care and we'll see you next time.